Good day everyone, happy Vlogmas! Today is day number 8 of our 12 days of Vlogmas countdown. So first of all, I want to say I'm so sorry for not posting a Vlogmas video yesterday. As you can see by my background, I went home to my grandparents for the holidays, and on top of that I had to finish an exam, I had to go to my church to film our Christmas Eve service. So yesterday was just a really busy day for me. So what I've decided to do is just bump day 8 to right now, and day 9 will actually be coming later this evening, probably around 5 or 7, depending on how long it takes me to edit that video. Anyways, today I have a very, very special treat for you all. I have invited my good friend Chloe McClay to join me on a Zoom call. And for those of you who don't know, Chloe is from Edinburgh, Scotland, and we met at a summer camp that we both worked at. We were actually the co-directors of this camp's day camp program. So yeah, she is such an awesome, creative person, and I am just so happy to feature her on my vlog. But anyways, what are we going to talk about? Well, today we are going to compare Christmas traditions in Scotland and the UK with Christmas traditions in Canada. Surprisingly, there are a lot of differences that I had no idea were things that were different. We had such an interesting conversation, and I am really excited to share it with you. So without any further ado, let the Vlogmas adventures begin.
Hi everyone, I'm Parker's friend Chloe from Edinburgh, Scotland. We met working at camp together, so we've known each other for about 2 years now. And today we're going to talk about different Scottish and British traditions for Christmas and traditions in Canada. So I'm excited. Thank you for having me, Parker.
My pleasure. It's great to have you on here. All right, so I think we should just jump right into our little list here.
Perfect, yeah. So let's start with Santa Claus. So where do you say Santa Claus comes from, Parker?
The North Pole, which, by the way, is in Canada. So if you write out a letter to Santa, it'll go to the North Pole in Canada. He has a Canadian postal code, which is HOHOHO.
That's so good. Here in Europe, they actually, well, not so much now because a lot of movies have changed what people would say, but traditionally people would say he comes from Finland and from Lapland.
Really?
And it actually started from the 30s or 1920s. There was a radio broadcaster from Finland who said Santa lived there. So then everyone thought that he was from Lapland.
Okay, interesting.
You can go and visit the village if you want to in Finland.
Wow, I had no idea that Santa was Scandinavian, apparently.
But then he could be Turkish as well, because St. Nicholas is meant to have been from Turkey. So there's so many different traditions. On Christmas Day here, they instead of actually having it's not so much now, but it's maybe more in the 70s and 80s, people would have their Christmas presents in pillowcases instead of a Christmas sack.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it was usually more just kind of using up the things that they had in the house.
That makes sense. I mean, traditionally over here, stockings were kind of the mode of choice for receiving gifts, but in the modern era, it tends to be wrapped gifts under the tree, of course.
I think we kind of took the stocking tradition from you. Stockings have kind of came over since then.
Okay.
So what would you leave? Well, we also call him Father Christmas. Do you say Father Christmas at all?
We're familiar with the term, but I actually haven't heard anyone use it in normal conversation. We usually just say Santa Claus.
It usually it's like the kind of fancy houses or maybe a department store, they would say Father Christmas is coming to, you can go and visit him. So what would you leave Father Christmas on Christmas Eve?
Milk and cookies, or if for me, I ended up leaving eggnog. But yeah, traditionally it's milk and cookies. Maple cookies, by the way.
Maple cookies. Well, here most people tend to leave a mince pie. You know, have you heard of mince pies? The
I have.
fruit one? Yeah. So I'll talk about them more later, but we would leave mince pies, a carrot for Rudolph, and a dram of whiskey, or sometimes milk, but a lot of people leave whiskey out for Santa.
Whiskey. I don't know if that's a good
Yeah.
idea if you're out flying a sleigh,
I
but
know.
all right.
Yeah. Well,
Going
I
back
think
to
he
the
drinks a lot of alcohol in Scotland. Yeah.
makes sense. Makes sense. Going back to the carrot for Rudolph, we do that a lot too. And a lot of times you can also buy little bags of reindeer feed from stores. And that is just something that you sprinkle all over the grass. And in the morning, it disappears, obviously, because the reindeer came and ate it off your front lawn.
Oh, that's cool. We don't. Teachers have started doing that and giving out bags of oats, and then if they're not all eaten by the reindeer, then the birds will eat them. So it's quite nice for the
All right.
nature around Christmas time here.
Okay, now how does Santa get around? Is it the same for both the UK and Canada?
I think so. He rides his sleigh and he has his 12 reindeer. Is that the same?
12 reindeer. We have
Oh no.
9.
Is it 12? Oh no, I think I said it wrong. 9 reindeer. He has 9.
9 reindeer.
Yeah.
Okay, so Rudolph is included in that fleet?
Yes, he is. He lives
Okay.
there.
So what are some things that you eat on Christmas Day? Like what do you have for Christmas dinner?
So traditionally here, most people will have turkey. I know you have that for Thanksgiving, but we don't celebrate Thanksgiving here. So turkey is what most families will cook. We have pigs in blanket. Have you heard of them?
I've heard of it, but I'm actually not sure what it is.
So it's basically a mini sausage wrapped in bacon and then cooked. They're pretty good.
Okay.
If you like meat, they're good.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah. We'll do stuffing, and then we'll have carrots, roast potatoes, a Yorkshire pudding, like a little kind of bread pudding that you put gravy in.
Oh yeah.
And then Brussels sprouts is the vegetable that we tend to have.
All right.
And cranberry sauce. Can't forget cranberry sauce.
Cranberry sauce, of course. So we do turkey dinners for Christmas too. So we have it and for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Got to have it for both. And again, with all the fixings, stuffing, mashed potatoes. The vegetable kind of varies by household, but I would say corn would be the most go-to option. And of course, cranberries, like you said. And if it's not turkey and all that stuff, some households will do a roast beef, or I know one year my family did a roast pork.
Oh, nice. See, over here we tend to have the Sunday roast, which is like beef or pork or chicken. So they people like to do turkey at Christmas, so it's a little bit different.
All right, cool.
And so let's talk about some Christmas traditions, so things that happen around Christmas time. Do you want to start?
Sure. So I think one of the big things you'll find here in Canada are parades. Usually you have them at the end of November or the beginning of December. A lot of small towns do their own parade. And then, of course, the big one that is televised all over the country is the Toronto Santa Claus Parade. For those of you who are American out there, it's kind of like our version of the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade, but obviously it's filmed in Toronto instead of New York. And this year it was actually filmed at Canada's Wonderland.
Oh, nice. We don't really have big scale parades like that. Usually little towns will do something. But something that most people do go and see is a pantomime. Do you have pantomimes?
No, we don't.
No.
Not in Ontario anyways.
Do you know what they are? I'll explain what they are for people that don't know. So it's like it's not a mime. It's like the exact opposite of a mime. It's this kind of overly interactive show that the whole family can go and see. There's like it usually uses like well-loved classic stories like Snow White, or Aladdin, Cinderella, and it turns them into this show that's like full of laughs for all of them. And they sometimes have kind of subtle jokes for adults as well. So the whole family goes and enjoys it. The main thing you have to know is audience participation is expected. So usually, like when the bad guy comes on, you have to shout boo, and then there'll be a scene where someone is standing behind the main character, and the audience have to shout he's behind you, and then they keep shouting it. It's really fun. Or they'll be like, oh no, he's not, and then you go, oh yes, he is. It's really funny. There's typically also a panto dame, so it's a man in drag basically, and he wears like this kind of elaborate outfit, over the top outfit, and he's like is usually played by a celebrity, so it's pretty fun to go and watch. And although it's the classic stories, they bring in a lot of modern kind of references, so whoever's been in the charts that year, they'll talk about them, or popular TV shows. It's number one on a lot of people's Christmas lists today.
Very cool. So that actually sounds similar to something that they do over in Newfoundland. It's called mummers.
Yeah.
It sounds very similar. I'm not totally up to speed on what exactly they do over there, but I have a feeling it's more or less the same thing.
Oh. So over here in primary schools, the nativity is a really big thing. So even schools that are non-denominational, they have no religion attached to them, they'll still do a nativity show with their primary 1 class, the first year of school. And it's really funny because obviously the kids mess up their lines, or they just don't want to be there, and usually something goes wrong. So everyone loves watching them just to see how the kids react.
Nice. So we don't really do a nativity thing on our schools, at least not at public schools. So a lot of times elementary school kids will get together in their classes, and each class or each grade will perform a Christmas song or a Christmas carol. Sometimes there's a story that connects all the songs together. But yeah, it's a great time. A lot of times the parents will come over and watch it in the school gym or auditorium, or whatever the school happens to have.
Yeah, it sounds kind of similar, but our one is the actual nativity story. So it's something that's quite similar in different schools. So for you, are Christmas adverts on TV quite important, or are they just something that's there?
Pretty much every big brand will make a Christmas version of their commercials. And it really marks the season out. Like, it's Christmas when you start seeing Santa Claus appear next to the new Chevy or whatever. So they definitely incorporate a lot of holiday elements into our commercials.
We have the same, all the big brands will make commercials, but the general public rate them, and they usually have this whole elaborate storyline. And so we have one supermarket for the past few years have had the story of Kevin the Carrot, and they sold toys of the carrot, and it sold out everywhere. There was also John Lewis. If you look up their Christmas adverts, they always do the best Christmas adverts. They had Monty the Penguin one year, and it was this little penguin that was with a boy, and then it turned out at the end it was his toy penguin, and they sold the penguin in the store, and everybody bought it, and it sold out so quickly. So the adverts really change what people want for Christmas.
Okay, yeah, they're definitely not that big over here.
But I'd recommend John Lewis. You should look them up.
Okay, will do. If I can find some good ones, I might leave some links down in the description.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so we've already talked about what we do for Christmas dinner, but what are some foods that are enjoyed throughout December and throughout the holiday season?
So mince pies, like what we leave for Santa, they're like the short.
Okay, hold on a second. What, Grandma?
Ask her if she has plum pudding, because my grandma used to make plum pudding.
We do have plum pudding.
They do have plum pudding.
Yeah.
Okay, carry on.
Yeah. So mince pies, like what we leave for Santa, they're short crust pastry with this we call it mince meat, but there's no meat in it. It's made
Oh,
with
okay.
raisin. It's kind of like a spiced raisin jelly.
Hmm.
They're pretty good. Certain supermarkets do better ones than other places, but most people will have a little mince pie with their cup of tea around Christmas time. Then, very similarly, we have a Christmas cake, which is made with like raisins and sultanas and spices, and then it has a layer of marzipan and then a layer of icing and some Christmas decoration. And we have a Christmas pudding, which is like a steamed pudding with similar ingredients, and they pour brandy on it on Christmas Day and light it on fire.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. So it kind of chars around the outside. They're all similar ingredients, but they do taste very, like they have different textures. They taste pretty different.
All right.
Yeah.
So when you say Christmas cake, is that the same thing as what we would call fruitcake?
I think so, yes. Fruitcake and then marzipan and icing. So like.
Okay. I don't know exactly what type of icing we use, but yeah, it sounds pretty similar. We have, like, it has raisins in it a lot of the times, and usually there's red and green little jelly things. I'm not exactly sure what they are.
Dried fruit part.
Dried fruit, that's what they are. Thank you, Grandma.
Packed away, and it's usually made around September, October, November, and packed away in brandy or rum or.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
My dad has actually been making Christmas cakes this year, so he made them at the start of October.
Okay, very cool.
Mm-hmm. What about you? Do you have any Christmas type food?
I think cookies would be a big thing over here. A lot of times we make sugar cookies, or we just buy them from the store if we're not too keen on baking. Those are a big thing. Yeah, just basically desserts, I would say. Pumpkin pie is a big thing over here.
Shortbread for Christmas.
Shortbread for Christmas is another big thing.
Yeah, shortbread is pretty big here too, because Scotland has a big tradition of shortbread.
So specifically in Quebec, they have this thing called tourtière. It's basically a meat pie, or it's like a beef pot pie, but it's not quite the same. It's spiced differently. And that is actually something that they do for New Year's, or as the French call it, Réveillon. I don't think I pronounced that right. Yeah, you can buy them in the supermarkets here, or if you want to do it the traditional way, you can make them from scratch.
Nice. So you mentioned New Year. So in Scotland, we actually call New Year Hogmanay, and it's this really big celebration. In the whole of the UK, Edinburgh, where I live, has the second biggest Hogmanay party, and then London is the biggest one. So you can understand London because it's this big multicultural city. And Edinburgh is quite a bit smaller. So for it to have the second biggest one is quite an achievement. They have a torchlit procession where people will walk with like fire torches through the city, and they'll make this big picture out of the way that they're standing. It looks really cool. And then in the evening, a lot of people go to the main high street called Princes Street, and there's thousands of people there. They have musicians playing. It's this big street party, and then they set off the fireworks at midnight, and we all sing Old Lang Syne and do a dance together. So it's really fun.
Very nice. So our New Year's is quite similar to the one they do in New York, except ours is done in Niagara Falls. And yeah, basically we have a bunch of popular artists come in and sing songs. So I know one year we had Shawn Mendes, and it was either Joe Jonas or Nick Jonas. One of the Jonas brothers were there, but they do a couple of their hits from the year. Sometimes they do holiday songs as well. And yeah, we have a big fireworks show, and you can see all this stuff on TV, of course, and you can watch it live. So if you're not there in Niagara Falls, which I mean, not a lot of people are because it's very busy and very crowded, you would just have a party at home all night. You would eat different kinds of cheese and crackers and wines and meat steaks. You often have a whole selection of appetizers. and yeah, you would watch the New Year's countdown on TV.
Yeah, similar here. If people don't go to the street party, they have the same celebrities will host on different, like if they were a host on one channel, they'll host that channel for years. So
Okay.
it's pretty interesting to watch them if you're not at the party. This will be my first year celebrating with my family in about 10 years. Typically, New Year's has been when I celebrate with friends. So it'll be really interesting to have a very different New Year.
Yeah, for sure. Now, something that I believe Canada and the UK shares is Boxing Day. Sorry, America. I guess this is an exclusive club for us. But for us Canadians, Boxing Day is a day where we go out and shop. By the way, it's the day right after Christmas, December 26th. So it's when we have a lot of big sales, and it's kind of crazy. It's basically the Canadian equivalent of Black Friday. We do have Black Friday, even though we celebrate Thanksgiving at different times than the States. But really, Boxing Day is kind of our big blowout and buy everything for cheap prices day.
Yeah, it's the same for us. So we didn't have Black Friday at all until the last maybe 5 years. It really came over from North America, and we Boxing Day was our big sale, and it went right into the January sales. So basically, the shops will get rid of all their stock at that time. But it actually was started as a way to give to the poor. So a Boxing Day tradition was when you were meant to give all the gifts or all the things in your house you didn't want and give it to the church, and they would give it out to the needy. So it's very interesting how it's changed over the years.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I think that's pretty much everything that we have on our list to talk about.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Parker. I've enjoyed
No problem.
chatting with you.
You too. Thank you so much for joining me. Before you go, is there anything you would like to plug? Any Big Arts Instagram page that you might have?
So I am not a vlogger like Parker, but I do love to draw, and I have an art page called Drumsticks and Paintbrushes. So if you'd love to give me a follow, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
She is really good. I see all of her, all of the works that she does up on her Instagram, and she did design the logo for this channel. Thank you again, Chloe. I love it so much. And yeah, I wouldn't have the logo if it wasn't for this amazing woman.
I appreciate your friendship, Parker. So thank you so much for having me on the show. On your vlog. Maybe
might as well be a show.
What's gonna come?
Maybe. Ooh, future ideas. Anyways, to all of you out there, thank you so much for joining. Stay safe. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Vlogmas. All that good stuff, whatever you celebrate. Thank you for joining. And always remember that the adventures are
calling.
All right. Thank you, Chloe. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you